Hey, and welcome back to the Funny Book Photographer podcast. And oh my gosh, like we were just chatting earlier and we are just talking about the fact that the reason why we do this podcast is to help you guys master the business of photography so that you can fill your businesses with more clients and make a bigger difference to them. But we don't rely on other thought leaders in our industry that we interview to promote this podcast. So if you think, if you believe, if you're listening, that other photographers can benefit from this, because let's be honest, right? A rising tide lifts all boats. Just share the podcast, subscribe and share the podcast with your photographer friends and bring them in here. And so they can too learn, like you're learning, how you can turn your passion for photography into profit. Alrighty, so now that we've done that and you've all pressed the subscribe and you're all ready to share it with your friends, let's get started this week. So there's 3 musketeers this week, right, guys?
That's right. You got me and Brad and you. It's awesome. Jonathan's off doing some work that is much needed to get done. So we're here holding down the podcast for him.
Yeah, in business there's always that emergency, right, that has been dealt with. So Jonathan's away putting out fires, but for our members, as we have a pint and have a chat and have a drink and talk all things photography.
He's pulling his hair out in front of a computer.
I can hear him physically removing the hair. He's probably getting onto the beard now, and he's working on individual hairs.
I hope he doesn't. It looks good with the beard. He should keep the beard.
He needs to keep the beard.
Suits him.
Alrighty, so what are we talking about this week, guys?
We are talking about a project that you have been working on, Ronan.
For way too long, Jeanine.
For way too long.
In 2019, yeah, so pre-COVID, I went to see JB Hayes and Mary Fitz-Taylor, and I spent some time with them. And Jamie did my headshots for the book at that time.
Is that what that headshot is from?
Yeah.
Oh, I did not realize that.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
2019, yeah.
See, look at this little tidbits of information we get that we did not know.
What did 2019 Ronan look like?
Very handsome. Good guy in a cap.
But I don't know if you've lost weight since then, Ronan. So you might need an update there. Or he could look substantially younger, because in 2019 you hadn't met me. So I may have aged you terribly.
I certainly had far less grey hairs, Brad. Far less grey hairs.
But you're wearing a cap. No one can see that. You have the luck that us women don't have unless we walk around with hats on all the time.
It's funny you should talk about hats. I had a call earlier today with a friend who in 2009, we both did the International Selling Postgrad Diploma together, which was sponsored by Enterprise Ireland. So, and we haven't talked for ages, and we had a call today on Zoom, and he goes, "That cap," he says, "you're a marketing genius," he said. He says, "It's so simple." And then he says, "I see in your waistcoat and your woolen waistcoats when you're dressed up, and your white linen shirts." And he went, I just go, "Oh my gosh." I'm going, it's nothing. It's just a cap and some clothes, So it's funny.
So tell us a little bit, Brad and I, so what we're going to be doing on this podcast today is Brad and I are going to be playing table tennis with Ronan. And so we're going to fire off some questions to him about this project that he has been working on now. I guess I didn't realize it was since 2019 you had this idea and took that photograph. Mm-hmm. So Brad, I believe, he's itching over here to ask you the very first question about this. Are you ready, Brad?
Well, more statement than question, because I was deeply surprised that Ronan could read, let alone write. So it came as a real shock when Ronan said he's wrote a book. I jest. But what was... You said you've been thinking about this since 2019. You started writing earlier 2023. So first I want to know, what was your inspiration for wanting to write the book in the first place? And then what made you do it now?
So 2 questions in one, Brad, eh?
Yeah, 2 questions, just like you do.
So, well, you didn't answer it as well as asking it. So you weren't quite me. So the inspiration for writing the book is, well, the title hasn't been finalized yet, right? But in the short list for the title is the following. So, The Difference Maker, Igniting a Revolution in Photography. So that's the current title that I'm on, subject to my editor. She's probably going to rip it up and say, no, start again. But I think the reason for writing the book is in that title. So first of all, I see all the time. So I've never ran a photography business, Brad and Jeanine, you know that, right? But I've created other very successful businesses in our industry. And in my role in the Fully Booked Photographer, I've seen beneath the bonnet hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of photography businesses, not just once-off looks, but weekly looks when our members are on the podcast. And I see the challenges that many photographers have to truly get paid what not only they desire, but what they deserve when they do become a difference maker. And the reason why the revolution is in the title, to Igniting a Revolution, is that I think 99.9% of photographers have, not purposely, I think it's happened by mistake, is that they've been brainwashed into thinking wrongly about what they do and who it's about. And the revolution is around trying to reframe photographers' mindset that, just like any other business, it's not about you. It's not, in fact, about photography. It's about solving a problem, like any business. So, like in our business in the photography industry, it's not about the folio box. It's about the problem the folio box solves in 3XN. In photo value, it's not about the mount. It's about the problem that mount solves for a photographer and their client. If it's the Fully Booked Photographer, it's not about the training or the mentorship or the coaching that we give. It's about the problem we're trying to solve for the client. And photography is no different. It's just photographers who understand this and who implement it and become a true difference maker, that they use the art and science of photography to solve problems for their clients. So that's the driver to fast track the revolution by hopefully some photographers reading the book, all 5 of them, reading the book, and because you have to start somewhere, right? Reading the book and saying, okay, I understand the mission, I understand the psychology behind this, I understand the need to do this, but how do I then build my business around that? So I had this crazy idea. And the idea was, so what if I could take a camera? Now remember, I haven't a clue how to be a photographer. I don't even know how a camera works, right? But what if I could take a camera and I could break the camera, each element of a camera, into each of the business marketing systems and use the analogy of what that does within the camera to a business scenario.
Can you give us one example?
I can give you many examples because all the chapters are written and they're all here in front of me.
You can't cheat.
Pick one.
You can't pick up the book and cheat, Ronan.
No. This is only a 30-minute podcast. Pick one. We know how you are.
Pick your favourite one. Pick the one that, when I asked, it was the first one that came to your mind.
Well, I like them all, but if we take the marketing system within a business, I've linked that back to the flash. the off-camera flash, not even on the camera, but the an off-camera flash lighting system.
So not the superhero. He said the flash. I was like, ooh, we're going
not the superhero. not the superhero, but the flash. And what I've done is I've taken each element of the camera, so the flash and the example, and I've built an acronym that each letter stands for something you need to do within your marketing system.
Are you going to tell us what they are for the flash?
Well, do you want to know?
That's why I asked.
Yeah. Okay. So are we going to deep dive into all of these?
No, just give it. This way people can get a sense of what they're going to be reading in your book.
Okay. So the F stands for finding your ideal client.
Okay.
What about the L?
You're going to ask me them all now. And even, the L is then about how create. Geez, you're putting me on the spot now. I should know all these off by heart, and I don't.
Now you know how we feel when you interview us.
I know, yeah. The L stands for leveraging your unique offer.
Leveraging for the Americans.
Leveraging, is it? Okay. Leveraging for the Americans. You want them all, do you? So the A is attracting your ideal clients. The S is showcasing your work with your client as the hero. And the H is harnessing their commitment and earning the conversation.
So essentially for each of the elements, you break it down even further. Yes.
So if we take the first one, which is the F, finding your ideal client, we go through the wish, hope, fear, see framework of identifying your client avatar. Because as you guys know, and as we teach, that client avatar is the foundation to not just your marketing, but to your business. If it's not in place and you just market without knowing who you're marketing to, well, then you're going to fall on deaf ears, right? They estimate that a person, depending on their location, where they are and what social media platforms they're on and all that sort of stuff, that they see, but may not recognize between 4,000 and 10,000 marketing messages a day, not a week, not a month, not a year, a day. So if you're putting messaging out there that's not niched down, that your ideal client is going to resonate with, well, then it's going to fail, right? So you got to do that, and we see it all the time. We see photographers coming in and they skip this bit because it's difficult, it's not easy, and they skip it and they build their campaign and like they build a house, the house falls down, and instead of looking that they haven't yet put the solid foundation of their ideal client avatar in place, they build another house and it falls down again, and they go, "Why is this house falling down, guys?" And we say, "Well, show us your client avatar." And they go, "What client avatar?" Well, we've walked you through all the training creating your client avatar, and we've explained the reason why this is important, and yet you've skipped that process. "Oh yeah, but that's too difficult. I'm looking for a silver bullet." They don't use that language, but that's effectively what they're saying. And we say, no, you have to put the work in. You've got to put the work in. And the other reason why I love the camera analogy is that the battery is the financial system, right? Did you ever try use your camera when there's no battery and it's flat?
Oh, Brad, he snuck in a second one. Look at him.
I know, yeah.
Oh, he's so
I can't help it.
You little devil.
But it's the same. It's So I think the analogy I'm able to use it. My concern is I've also been researching online and all that. So what does this part of the camera do? Because I haven't done it myself. But I know when we get it to the draft stage and it's nearly there to be able to share with many friends who are in the industry who are photographers, that they'll say, "Ronan, you've got that bit wrong. You got to revisit that before it gets to the next stage of the editor." The editing with the editor, if we call it that.
So, Ronan, I got a question for you. Kind of bringing it back to the overall. When you got into the depths of writing this book, what are you wanting readers to get out of it? Like, give us 3, because 3 is fun to make you say. Give us 3 things that you would want a photographer to get from reading your book.
One, that first of all, that they need to master the business of photography as much as they have the art and science of photography. 2, that they need to use the art and science of photography to make a difference to their clients. And 3, they need a business plan that's easy to understand to implement around each system of their business. So, there's no point in having an amazing marketing system if your sales system, which I've renamed in the book, which you could do a whole thing on. So I've done away with the name sales. It's your client success system. But if any one of those systems is broken, it's like cogs on a wheel. That's turning a turbine. If one of those cogs is broken, the turbine doesn't turn, and that's difficult because most photographers are solo or duopreneurs, right? And we've no foundational understanding of business, and we have to learn this. And business can be difficult, but it's actually not that difficult once you're consistent with it and you're focused on it and you've an open mindset and you're willing to learn from others and adapt and put the stuff in place.
So I want to ask you a question about going back to the title of your book.
Yeah.
So would you consider yourself a revolutionary, Ronan?
Well, being Irish, us Irish are well known for being revolutionaries, as you know from your British and Irish history, Brad. So it's interesting. Am I a revolutionary? I'm not sure it's the right word, but I see a need for change. So I think I'm more a visionary, but when you actually analyze it against this, it does require a revolution in the industry. And all revolution starts small, And, I was, for years, I thought I was on my own, And then in 2019, when I met Steve Saporito at Imaging USA, and we were both platform speakers, I went, oh, thanks. There is somebody up there, because it's hard on your own. And then I met you guys, and you guys shared the same view, and in the Fully Booked Photographer. And it just, when you're not on your own, it's hard when you're on your own, but it's still very, very early, even though Steve's been at this for some time and I was at it for some time. The difference between Steve and I was he knew more of the how to make a difference. I knew there was a need for it. And I could see that clients, don't make their clients the hero and don't make it about the client and lead with their marketing. I'm an award-winning photographer and can't understand why people aren't knocking their doors down to book them, and then not understanding then why. Well, we see it, don't we? We see it in all the forums, my clients don't value my work, What bullshit!
You took the one bad word we're allowed. That's okay. This is your book. You can do what you want.
If we did that, if we thought that way about our clients in our business, and our clients are photographers, right? We wouldn't be in business. We're 42 years in business now, since 1981. If that was our mindset, we'd be gone. And you see it too. You see this whole AI thing happening, and you see photographers panicking about AI. And yes, if you don't use photography to make a real difference to people, and you think it's about your art and just about your art, and we're not saying that's not important, but if that's your mindset, that it's about you and your art, well, then AI is going to wipe you out. AI is going to wipe you. You've probably 12 months at best, and you're gone.
So, which kind of brings me back to my follow-up question. It being that you are a catalyst for change, and that you are a visionary in the industry, is that why this book, you had to write it now?
Yes.
Because you felt like maybe not that time was running out, but you had to get it out as quick as you can because you believe it has to happen now. That this revolution needs to happen now.
It has to happen now. It really does. because so much of the industry just and it's nobody's fault. It just has happened that way. You know, it's. I don't believe anyone strategically sat down and said, "This is what we want to happen." I really don't think they did. I think it just evolved that way, and we put the emphasis on a lot of the wrong things, and it wasn't meant, but it was just like I say all the time, I have a love-hate relationship with print competition, right? I
You say
love
that
it
you have a
when
love? I thought it was just a hate.
no. I have a love-hate. So here's why I love it, right? And this is the only instance I love it. I love it not when it makes you a better photographer, but when it makes you not have to think about the art and science of photography. And there's a subtle difference there. And why I hate it is when people get consumed to think that if I'm an award-winning photographer, that it just opens the door to more clients. It doesn't. Yes, the quality of your photography has to be at a standard, right? But, you know, if you show a consumer an image that has merited 90, 80, 70, 60, 50 even, I don't think they'd notice the difference between any of those. And you don't get a merit unless it's over 80.
Ronan, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
It's a heart question. So you said, and I think everybody pretty much knows now that you're not a photographer. You don't know how to use a camera. And I've tried to see you take a selfie, and that is even pretty bad. So question for you. Why? What is it about photographers and the photography industry that you care so much about, that you want to improve it, that you want to disrupt it, that you want to revolutionize it? Why do you care so much? Like, what is it in the industry and photographers in general that you love and that you want to help them?
Because I see the power of the potential, and I've lived the power of the potential. So, and I've seen photographers who do this, you know, like, let me give you an example. So, and you know them well as well. Darren and Rianne, right? They're in Fully Booked Photographer. The other part of your foundation is discovering your why, right? And that's in the first chapter, which is part of the lens chapter. It's one of the lenses, right? But like a story for them, right? They went through a whole process of discovering their why and why they wanted to be boudoir photographers and how they wanted to help women who'd come through abusive relationships or had separated or gone through some major life change, and you know, they'd lost their confidence and wanted to rediscover their confidence, right? And this story's in the book, so I hope I'm not spoiling it for those who are going to read the book. But you know, they had a client who was in an abusive relationship, right? And she got the confidence to leave her partner, her abusive partner, right? But she'd lost complete confidence in herself, right? So much so that she told them afterwards that she got rid of every single mirror in her home. She would not look at herself in a mirror, right? And she came into them and she went through an experience. And part of Darren Rianne's why is to give women confidence so that they can love themselves and love someone else and be loved by someone else, right? That's part of their why, right? And they went through the whole boudoir. She went through the whole boudoir experience, and when she saw the photos of herself, like, she invested in a ginormous amount of wall art and a folio box full of images and every single day. And Rianne, being the great business person she is, you know, touched base with her 2 weeks after she'd had her products, right? So just checking in how things are going. And the client said, well, Rianne, I've invested in a full-length mirror now in my home. I now have a full-length mirror in my bedroom. And every single day I see the work you create and I look at myself in the mirror, I'm just full of confidence. And she checked in. Actually, she didn't check in. The client rang her a couple of weeks after that and said, Rianne, I just wanted to let you know that I now have a new partner and he's the most amazing man in the world.
That's amazing.
Look at that for the power of photography. Look at the difference that's made to her family, and her new partner, who's also found his love. Like, you can't buy that.
So then, touching on that and going back to your title of the book, being being centered around difference makers. Do you think that's what our industry should be?
Absolutely. That's where every industry should be, and we were talking a little bit earlier. I have this in the book as well, but I have a quote from Tony Robbins, right? And it says, "Your unlimited power to care and love that can make the biggest difference in the quality of your life," right? So your power, your ability to care and love for others will make the biggest difference to your life. And I'm saying, well, if you translate that to photography, right, it's about the limitless potential of your images to evoke emotion, awaken memories, and incite change, right? And doing that and loving people by using the art and science of photography to help them is what being a difference maker is. And we all know from Simon Sinek and others that the result of that will be, because you deliver so much value to your clients that it becomes priceless. That's when they will invest most with you. Mm-hmm. When you deliver that value that is so much greater than the price you charge, will allow you not only charge more, but it's linked to the value that you bring to people. But that'll be the result. So you've got to get out of your head that it's about your art, that they're investing in your photography. They're not. They're investing in what you create for them make them feel every single day, today, tomorrow, forever. That's what it's about.
So the word photographer then, Ronan, where do you see that fitting?
I always said that photographers have been misnamed, and it's come from the science of it, because photography means, an image captured using light, and that's what it means. And an AI image doesn't use light, right? So there's a complete difference with regards to the technology around it. So I think that they've been misnamed. If I was a dictator, a benevolent dictator, in the world, I would cancel the word photography, and I would rename everybody Difference Makers True Photography.
So are you trying to, because from listening to you, Ronan, I don't think you're trying to fix the business of photography. You've got the art and science, you have the business, and you have the soul. It sounds to me like you're trying to fix the soul of photography.
Yeah, maybe.
I think it's a really good way to phrase it, Brad.
I'll have to get that into the book, Brad.
There you go.
Yeah, a new revision coming out before it's even published.
There you go. Because if that's... It's just like in life, isn't it? Because if your value systems aren't aligned, if you don't have the right beliefs, then the action's going to be muddy. So if you don't have the right mindset, belief, values, don't have that soul set in the right place, then that business help is going to be misaligned, and then the actual art piece will also be misaligned.
Yeah,
it's like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Steal it for your book. Ronan's hierarchy of needs.
Ronan's hierarchy of needs. Oh my gosh,
No, Brad's hierarchy of needs in Ronan's book.
There we go. Yeah, so it's been a fun process, and it's, I think I'm on the 8th edition, and then I was listening to an author talk the other day, and it took him 18 editions before it went live. And I said, yeah, I know when my editor gets this, it's going to be torn to pieces. I'm going to probably have to start again. But it's too important not to, right?
100%.
Especially if you're looking at it as the soul. I love that, Brad. It is the soul of the industry.
I have one good idea here, Jeanine.
But when you have it, it's good.
It's not bad.
It's not bad.
So when can people expect to be able to get a copy of this, Ronan?
there's the $1 million question, Brad. I don't know, and the reason why I don't know is I've never done this before, so I don't know when the editor gets it whether she's going to just tear it to pieces and say start again. So I really don't know the answer. My hope was that that I would have the edited edition, my final draft, to go out to a number of people to read by the end of August, and I've missed that. I've missed that due to other business commitments. So I primarily work on this at weekends. I'm getting to spend between 16 and 24 hours a week on it. So I don't know.
I give you a publication goal. I think
Go again,
I would
Jeanine.
love to have him in hand for imaging. I think that's a great goal. January. Let's fast track this book, Ronan. Get it in the hand of the 15,000 photographers that are going to be coming to imaging.
Yeah, that'd be a pretty cool goal, wouldn't it?
Yeah, do a book launch.
Do a book launch.
No pressure.
It makes sense. I mean, we launched a podcast at Imaging.
We did launch the podcast at Imaging.
Yeah, that went very successfully. Thank you to everybody who's listening to us right now and who listened to us on day one.
Yes.
You need a deadline, Ronan. You know what it is, right? If you don't have a deadline, it's just a dream.
I know, Jeanine. I know, Jeanine.
And if you don't set one, me and Jeanine will set one for you.
Yeah. So I need to get the. It's probably closer than I think, provided the editor doesn't.
The editor's not going to tear it apart. That's not what they do.
Yeah. So
it's not a publisher, it's an editor. They'll just.
And a number of people have put their hands up to say, I would love to be the reader of the first draft, a number of readers. So I'm looking for around 10 people to do that and give some feedback and stuff. So hopefully that goes okay too.
Wait, Ronan, that's not what the lens does.
yeah, exactly.
That's not what the shutter is for.
Does that, Ronan? You think the aperture does that, Ronan? Yeah.
It does now. I'm a disruptor in the industry. I've declared this is what the aperture is.
It does now. And it's funny because I have an illustrator working on all the illustrations of the camera, to fit it in and stuff like that. So he was looking for, the illustrator was looking for, well, what can you do for me? What can you show me? So I was downloading all these links, to send them. So the first links that come back, he's using brand names of cameras on it. No. It cannot be something else that's in the market. So I said, if we're going to put a logo on it, we're going to put Difference Maker as the logo on the camera. So, yeah. So there we are.
Look at that. Right at 33 minutes. You going to wrap us up, Ronan? You get the final word. It's your podcast today.
Let's wrap it up. So, thank you for joining us in this podcast. I hope you've enjoyed our conversation. I hope we've whet your appetite for the revolution, first of all, because that's the most important thing. And if you want to hear more from the Fully Booked Photographer Mentor team, well, then make sure you do subscribe and share it with your friends. And the last thing is, for those of you who have made the transition to be a difference maker, thank you for the difference you make to your clients every single day. And for those of you who are starting on the path to becoming a difference maker, we're there to help you any way we can. That's bye from me.
Bye, everyone.
See you guys later.